Assembly here present, especially our sister, Senator Iyom Lillian Uche Ekunife, the senator representing the good people of Anambra Central. Let me also recognize our own brother, Honorable Chief Dozie Nwankwo Onyendozi, the member representing the good people of Dunukofia, Njikoka, and Yocha Federal Constituency.
Ladies and gentlemen, it will be my singular honor and privilege to welcome to this great event an extraordinary Nigerian, the former Secretary of the Commonwealth of Nations, talking about Chief Emeka Anyoko, CVO, Adazio Bosi. You're welcome to this great event.
Talking about Chief Mbazulike Amechi, the boy is good. The boy is good. Let's also recognize Dr. Tim Menakaya, the former Minister of Health.
Ladies and gentlemen, and his beautiful wife, they are here together to grace this event. And I would have been failing woefully, or we would have been failing woefully in our duties as the MCs of this event if we failed to recognize High Chief, Distinguished Senator Ben Ndi Obi Okusuna Baligwe Ojelibo.
Let's recognize the former Chairman, Police Service Commission, Chief Simeon Okeke, and all former AIGs here present. I see one of the awardees, AIG Emeko Okeke. I welcome you, sir. Let me also welcome all serving and former members of the State Assembly, especially the Deputy Speaker and other members here present. Chief Abodike, I welcome you. A member of the House of Reps is also here. One of the most recent members. He's also a founding member of APGA, but today is back in APGA talking about Honorable Chris Azubogo. Put your hands together for him. Let us welcome the chairman of APGA, Anambra State, Chief Sir Nobato B, and the state executive of the party. Put your hands together for Gobez and Nono. I want to recognize the presence of the Secretary to the Government of Anambra State, my own brother, Chief Solo Chukwulobelo. Let's recognize and make welcome Oko Sisi Aguleri, the Chief of Staff, Anambra State, and the members of the State Executive Council here present, the chairman and managing directors of all boards and parastatals of Anambra State, the chairman of the Southeast and Anambra State Council of Traditional Rulers, Igwe Alfred Nnemeka Achebe, Abogidi, Tony Abogidi, and all other royal fathers here present. I did not forget the members of the National Working Committee of our great party. I should have mentioned you when I called our national chairman. Permit me, it was an oversight. All judges of Anambra State, I recognize your presence too. Anambra State captains of industry, I see Dr. Stanley Ugochukwu. Put your hands together for Stanel, not very easy. I see Chief Ifeanyi Okoye, Juhel, Chief Uka Ejison is here too. Chisco is here too. And I forgot the secretary of our great party, Honorable former Minister, Honorable Labaran Mako. You're welcome to Anambra State. Ladies and gentlemen, the members of the clergy, all our Ds, we welcome you once again. I'd like to also welcome the members of the press. Am I missing anybody, Shedrack? If I'm not, let me now close it with ladies and gentlemen. Chido, what do you have to say about this event?
Your Excellency Chief Willie Madabro Chukwuobiano, the Executive Governor of Anambra State, fellow Institute of Chartered Accountant of Nigeria, Doctor of Business Administration honoris causa, Akpopu Dike, Omelukokulu. I didn't hear you put your hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Permit me to rest on the protocol already established by my colleagues and bring us to speed about why we are gathered here today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a multiple-barreled occasion. Today, His Excellency Chief Willie Madabro Chukwuobiano will be commissioning this edifice, the International Conference Center in the capital city of Oka, Anambra State. The best of its kind in southeastern Nigeria, 10,000 seated capacity. Another aspect of this landmark event is that His Excellency will be launching a book that chronicled his trajectory as the governor of Anambra State. The third part of this book is the award. There are some distinguished in the Anambra who have discharged themselves creditably in their various callings that His Excellency deemed fit and pertinent that they should be rewarded and applauded today. Permit me to say, ladies and gentlemen, that this is a landmark event. This is a historical event. It's an auspicious event, and that is why you have people from all walks of life gathered here in Anambra State. Because today, we are having a valedictory of the government of His Excellency Chief Willie Madabro Chukwuobiano. Apart from the valedictory, you're going to be seeing the stewardship of His Excellency in the last 8 years being demonstrated at this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, you will be seeing the legacy that His Excellency has left in Anambra State. Sitting here today, this 10,000 capacity event center is one legacy. Please put your hands together for His Excellency. Quite a good number of you have landed at Anambra Airport at Umueri. 30 years old dream. Government upon government, administrations upon administrations. But it took a Willie Obiano to have the courage and all it takes to build that airport for Anambra. Today, we don't go through the hassles of going through the hold-up to go to Asaba Airport, or to go to Enugu Airport, or to go to Owerri Airport. We land in Anambra State by virtue of this man's decisiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, we had at a point where some evil spirits were marauding around Anambra State. And the reason being that our brothers and sisters that died during the war were not properly buried. It took the courage of this man to ensure that they are properly buried at an event that we called Ozo Emezina. That is another legacy that we cannot forget in a haste. Do we also forget the alert? Recall that there was a time in Anambra State where salaries were being owed 6 months, up to 8 months, 10 months. But today, 25th or 26th of every month, the alert will, and that's why we call him alert. Alert. Do you want us to talk about another legacy? What about the IGR? Before he became the governor of Anambra State, our IGR was paltry 450 million naira monthly. But today, it is about 1.4. He hovers between 1.4 to 1.5 billion monthly. That is a wonderful legacy that you want to put your hands together for, ladies and gentlemen. We have an Anambra State Health Insurance Agency. Today, with just 12,000 naira, 12,000 naira, you can walk into any hospital and you get treated. in Anambra State by virtue of the decisiveness of this man called Willie Obiano. Do you want to put your hands together for that, ladies and gentlemen? What about the community choose your projects? 181 communities in Anambra State, 40 million naira each. They choose their project, the project they want, and they build it. So you can hardly go into any community in Anambra State, 181 of them, that you don't have evidence of what His Excellency Chief Willie Madabrochukwu has done for that community. Do you want to put your hands together for that, ladies and gentlemen? What about our education? He assumed the mantle of leadership in Anambra State. And we begin to hear Anambra State first in WASC, first in NECO, first in international debating, first in this, first in that, first in that, made possible by this man. Do you want to put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen? We are going to be touching on all these as we progress. You want to talk about during COVID? Anambra State now was the state that was supplying the gas that is being used, in hospital, and oxygen, yes, oxygen that is being used in hospitals all over the country. Because of the thoughtfulness of His Excellency, that oxygen plant was constructed, and it serviced not only Anambra State, but other states of the Federation. Do you want to put your hands together for that, ladies and gentlemen? You want to talk about youth empowerment? You want to talk about women empowerment? Ladies and gentlemen, I would want you, with all due respect and humility, to give a resonating and resounding round of applause for His Excellency, Chief Willie Madabrochukwu Obiano. It is because of him that we all gather here today. And it's also an opportunity for the Anambra to say thank you very much, Your Excellency, for all you have done for the Anambra. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I also want to say thank you very much for listening to me as I invite my colleague, Tony Wanwick, to take it from there. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Agujo Gene. Let me quickly, Shadrach will recognize some people that we forgot to recognize. Oh, you see the Maderika here. And then what you did, what you have done, is put Anambra State in the mainstream of culture and tourism. That's what you have done. Because I'm sure the next government is already lining up international artists for shows, for events. We have an airport, so you fly in. We have hotels. You go and sleep. You come here. You have your event. Put your hands together for this man. All right, Shadrach, immediately after his introduction and recognitions, we will invite the book presenter to talk to us. Uche, stand by.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, may I have the honor and privilege to let us know that those men and women that helped His Excellency to make Anambra State the safest state in Nigeria, they are here. I am talking about the service commanders, the Nigeria Police, Civil Defense, Federal Safety Corps, Immigration, the Army, the Navy, Correctional Service. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome all the service commanders and say thank you for the great job you've done for the state. The head of service of Anambra State is here, Barrister Okwi Theodora Igwebe, MNI. We also have in our midst, ladies and gentlemen, the National Vice President of Ohanes and Igbo, Chief Damian Okeke Ogene, and also the National President of ASATU is here, Barrister Honorable Titus Abudo. And ladies and gentlemen, we also have in our midst a great man, a great Onyanambra, Chief Chide Anyebu, the Chairman, Chisco Group. We salute you and welcome you. And at this juncture, may I invite the book reviewer, Udechukwu Christian, to do justice to this book presentation.
By the way, we recognize the presence of the members of the House of Assembly. There were plenty, so I don't know as I go begin call them, but I can see my own. I can see my own, the one where they represent me. Honorable, if I Chukuchieku, the money man. No. Together with Ndi Ozoni Nenozi there. Ogbefino Kefi. One ayeze. PTB da, the honorable. We recognize all of you. The majority leader is there too. We appreciate you. The book reviewer, ladies and gentlemen, it's a happy day. What is it? Eba amaka. Afromo NF Akupe. Makanoyi na akwado eto. By the way, we are live on Channels TV. Let's recognize Obiori Gwedibia, member Independent Corrupt Practices and Related Offenses, ICPC. You're welcome. The book reviewer. Oh, mommy just came in. The wife of the former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Lady Beatrice. Her Excellency, Lady Ifoma Ekweme. Beatrice Ekweme, you're welcome. You're welcome. So the book reviewer. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Governor William Obiano, and Her Excellency, Osodieme, I want to stand on all existing protocols. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Christian, Udechuku Christian, and I am not the book reviewer. However, I am going to be steering the book launch. I'm going to orchestrate the sequence of events leading to the unveiling and the launching of the book written to immortalize His Excellency Governor William Obiano, who in the last 8 years has steered the affairs of this state with distinction and excellence. Previous speakers have spoken about the virtues of Obiano. I think all Anambra people agree that he is a man of courage, he's a man of vision, he's a man who cares, he's a man who leads men and women with determination. He's a man who says what he means and does what he means to do. He's a man of his words. He's a banker, he's a philosopher, he's a father, he's an excellent husband. And many of these things are captured in the book. Now, obviously, as we all sit comfortably in this auditorium, you look around and I feel like we could transport this structure to any capital in the world and it will fit in comfortably. We could have been sitting in London, we could have been sitting in Washington, D.C., could have been sitting in Beijing or Tokyo, and this venue will fit in perfectly. So please, another round of applause for Chief Obiano. I want to invite a very distinguished Nigerian, one of Nigeria's most foremost investment bankers, a scholar of excellence from Oxford University, who has made sure that other scholars also graduated from the same university, a philanthropist of note, and a man who has dedicated himself to public finance and private capital development. And speaking of no other than Prince Ike Chioke, a royal prince from Enugu State. A round of applause for him, please, as he comes up to speak to us and to give us an opening remark and to tell us why he wrote a book on His Excellency Governor William Obiano. Please, a round of applause for him as he comes up. This is a man whom the federal government of Nigeria has set aside 1.2 trillion. Now, think about the numbers and the zeros. 1.2 trillion infrastructure fund, and of the companies, 4 companies that were selected to manage the fund, Afri-Invest, of which he is the CEO, is one of those 4. It is a mark of excellence for Ike Chioke and Afri Invest to be entrusted with such responsibility. They have been pioneers in the Nigeria capital market, and it's a mark of his friendship with William Obiano, the governor, that he took the time out to pen a book that not only captures what Obiano has done for the people of Anambra State, but will immortalize him for the next 1 million years. Ladies and gentlemen, Ike Chioke.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Chief Dr. Willie Obiano, Akpopu Dike, and his wife, Osodieme, Your Excellency, I greet you this afternoon. I would like to stand on all existing protocols, but most especially, I would like to recognize Abogidi, the Obi of Onitsha, who graciously accepted to be the chairman of this occasion of the book launch of my book, Akpopu Dike. The royal father of the day, excuse me. Yeah. I would also like to recognize Chief Emeka Anyoko, who's also here. He had accepted to be the chairman of the occasion of the book launch, Akpopu Dike. It's also my pleasure to recognize Professor Osito Bu, who has taken the time to actually read the book, and he will do us the honor of reviewing this book for us and telling us what it's about. My two good friends, unfortunately not able to be here present physically, but they agreed to be the joint chief launchers. I'll start with Dr. Chief Clem Mwobo, who is the chairman of MPI Infrastructure, but is probably better known as the developer of Oka Millennium City. Again, when you talk about the accomplishments of Willie Obiano, you have to remember that there is a brand new capital city just a stone throw from here emerging. It's, again, one of the legacies of his administration. Yes, a round of applause for that. And then Dr. Herbert Nwigwe, the CEO of Access Bank, had agreed to come here, but unfortunately he got caught up in an event in London and is not able to join us. But he has sent representation in the room. So, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly observed, it's my humble honor to be here as the author of the book, Akpopu Dike. I met Willie Obiano in 2004 during the banking sector consolidation. At that time, the governor-elect, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, was the central bank governor and had introduced a mandate that all banks must raise their capital from a minimum of 2 billion naira to at least 25 billion naira. And Chief Dr. Willie Obiano was then an executive director at Fidelity Bank. As was introduced, I'm an investment banker, and I've been working in investment banking for the last 31 years, having started my career in New York, London, before coming to Nigeria to establish my company, Afri Invest. And Afri Invest at the time was advising another bank, FSB International, then run by Malam Mohammed Hayatuddin. And ultimately, we came to Fidelity Bank as a potential suitor for Fidelity to acquire FSB Bank. So in the process of that consolidation transaction, which we were advising, I worked intimately with Willie Obiano and got to know him from then on. And that was how the relationship built on. Shortly after that consolidation, I think about 2012, he retired from Fidelity Bank and apparently relocated to America. It was only in the middle of 2013 that I was called on by Mark Okoye, the present Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, to say, please come and help me. Chief Willie Obiano is going to be the candidate for ABGA, and he needs us to help develop an economic blueprint for Anambra State. So again, we were reacquainted, and in his house in Lagos. I was there many times, many nights, working on what was the initial structure of the 4 pillars and the 8 enablers that then fed into the manifesto. And ultimately, we are here today, 8 years later, and we are living and breathing the transformation he has visited on Anambra State. One of the first things His Excellency the Governor did was to do not physical infrastructure, but institutional infrastructure. It goes without saying that you cannot run a government without the appropriate institution. And the first institution is set up was ANSIPA, Anambra State Investment Promotion and Protection Agency. So upon the establishment of ANSIPA, which probably happened within 3 months of being sworn in as governor of Anambra in 2014, AfriInvest, my company, was invited to be a financial advisor and a fund manager to ANSIPA and work closely with the then pioneer managing director of ANSIPA and the pioneering chairman. He's late. Both of them are late now. So that was how that relationship began in 2014. Mark Okoye was then an executive director of ANSIPA, and we then formed the initial ideas of how you begin to actually take an idea into action and move the thought of, okay, we want to attract investors, but there's a very unusual environment where insecurity was rife in Anambra. I recall then when I would land in Enugu Airport and rush to Awka for a meeting, by 4 or 5 p.m., I was eager to drive out of Awka because of the insecurity. These days, I come to Awka and I have a choice of 5-star hotels I can pick to stay on, and if I want to stay a week, I have no fear of staying here. So that's transformation. From that point, we laid out the idea of ANSIPA being what they call a one-stop shop. So when an investor comes into the state, they don't have to go to multiple ministries and departments and agencies of government to get approval for what they want to do. But through ANSIPA, which on its governing council has the appropriate commissioners, the Attorney General is there, the Secretary to the State Government is on the board, the Commissioner of Lands is there, Budget and Planning is there, Commissioner of Finance is there, Tourism and Culture. So you then find that investors only needed to come to ANSIPA, and they immediately had a gateway into Anambra State. And through that arrangement, we have Linden Farms in Iwariam, which is probably 200,000 bird poultry farm, producing almost 10,000 crates of eggs a day, employing 200 people or so. We've got Koscharis Farms, we've got Excel Farms, we've got Chelsea Farms. There are lots of investments that have come into agriculture. And then we moved on to other sectors of the economy, and you already are sitting in one of them. Tourism is going to be big in Anambra State because you've now got the structure of a convention center, you've got hotels, you've got an international airport. It's just a question of building out the hospitality sector more efficiently and effectively, and that will become another massive employer of labor. Unfortunately, about 2018, the pioneering chairman of ANSIPA passed on, late Chief Cyril Enweze. And while we're still wondering what to do, His Excellency asked me to become the chairman of ANSIPA. I was very surprised, I was shocked. First of all, I'm from Enugu State, not Anambra State. When I reminded His Excellency that I'm not from Anambra, he said, Ike, I don't care, you're the best person for the job, take it. In his usual style, I took it, and from 2019 onwards, I've been the chairman of ANSIPA, and I continue to be so. So, Your Excellency, I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity to serve Anambra State. And in 2021, given that it was now 1 year, the penultimate year for the administration, I told His Excellency, I would like to write a book about you. I think I've learned a lot of things a lot of practical experience of how you translate an idea into action. In my business, we talk about public-private partnership. We talk about raising capital. We talk about attracting investors. But actually, when you come on ground, you then meet what they call quicksand. You could easily be swallowed by the challenges on ground for you to implement your vision. But working with Chief Dr. Willie Obiano, I learned valued lessons of how you implement an idea and move it to action and have a reality, and we are sitting in one of those ideas. So that was what led to the thinking of writing the book. At that time, I then organized a team led by Chinua Asuzu. Chinua, are you in the room? I think he's here. And then he then organized maybe 10 or 20 young men and women who interviewed everyone that was working around His Excellency, all the MDGs, commissioners, the agencies, to build a full picture. I will not go into the book because that is the prerogative of Professor Osito Obu, but that was how the book was written, and we had the first manuscript ready around September last year. But then the election for the governor-elect had not happened, and I put that on hold. I insisted that we must watch and wait and see the result of that election, because a leader is not successful until he achieves the appropriate transition he wants. And I knew, of course, the governor had selected Professor Chukwuma Soludo as his successor, who's the ABGA flag bearer. And once that election was concluded, we added the 15th chapter of the book and then went to publish. So again, Your Excellency, Chief Willie Obiano, Your Excellency, Dr. Mrs. Ebelechukwu Obiano Osodieme, I thank you both most sincerely for the opportunity to be of service to Anambra State and the opportunity to write this book. But I must not stop before thanking every single person that supported me in writing this book. I have to start with Solo Chukwulebelu, who was interviewed a great deal by my team. Of course, Mark Okoye, Jide Ikako. There are many people, Ifeatu Onejeme, who were interviewed and who gave thoughts and perspectives that helped to build a picture. We also went to Aguleri and got perspectives from your kinsmen who gave us the story of your parents, which is also in the book, and your experience from CKC to Unilag and all of that. So I'll leave that to Professor Bu, who will come in after me and give us a proper treatise. So on that note, I'd like to thank you all very much, and we should be, Professor Osito Bu, please, if you may. Yes, is that not?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ike Choke. Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, the Governor, Your Excellency, the wife of the Governor, His Royal Highness, Igwe Achebe, may I stand on the existing protocol. First of all, let me say that it's my honor and privilege to be asked to review a book of this magnitude. When Prince Ike Choke invited me to review his book, Akpopu Dike, Duty Call in Anambra, I demurred, but accepted because Ike Choke is my friend and junior brother. I hesitated not out of disrespect for the subject of the book or the author, but I felt that it was going to be one of those books, simply chronicling the journey of a successful man, produced very quickly in the twilight of a regime, and lacking in intellectual rigor. But Ike Chioke is a very serious and respected professional with a rigorous mind. But he has also now surprised me as a writer. This is not an ordinary biography of a great man. It is a portrait of what it takes to get to the top, weaved artistically to present a wholesome life with a menu of lessons. I am certain that the author did not realize that the book he has authored about his friend, His Excellency Governor Willie Obiano Akpopu Dike, the governor of Anambra State, with all his squeaky clean image, will be a reference book on political recruitment, inclusive governance, loyalty and political fidelity, empathic and result-oriented leadership, and talent hunt for political positions. In this scintillating and educative odyssey, Ike Chioke takes us to the roots, the family, the parents, the schools, the town Onitsha, where he grew up. It is these things that instilled the discipline and forged the sterling character that underpinned the meteoric rise of Governor Obiano and his leadership style. It is also a story about love, triumph over adversity, and God's faithfulness to those that wholeheartedly trust in him. And Ike Chioke did not rely on Governor Obiano to tell his own story, nor did he sit alone to make up joyful stories. He and a handful of talented researchers tracked down those that knew Chief Obiano before and after being governor to piece together an account that is at once diverse, logical, and authentic. This is therefore a well-researched book of 184 pages, 15 chapters, with fully documented bibliography and sources. The first lesson I take from the book, and this is why the book is important, and I think this is why people should read it. The first major lesson, and for me the most important one from this book, is that political recruitment requires a thorough background check. Our decisions and choices are a product of our culture and biology. An individual's moral philosophy in personal life and in governance is shaped by the same culture and biology. A person is who he is because of his parental upbringing, his socialization at home, in the church and schools he attended. Governor Obiano's parents, a teacher and a merchant, were disciplinarians deeply rooted in the Catholic faith. The young Mother Brochuku was an altar boy who helped in household chores and helped his mother in her business. There was no room for truancy, and his parents could vouch for his behavior 100%. The schools Governor Obiano attended, Holy Trinity Primary School and Christ the King College, both at Onitsha, were not only known for academic excellence, they were institutions where respect and discipline, the ethos of hard work, were enforced and character molded. I should know, I am a proud product of the Holy Trinity Primary School and was there about the same time that Akpopu Dike attended the school. In fact, I had a problem with Chioke because I said, how come I'm reading the book and discovering that the governor may even have been my classmate in the same Holy Trinity Primary School? Because in 1967, I was in primary 5. He probably was in primary 6, I don't know. But we were there about the same time. So we need to find a way to do our reunion after this. In the book, honesty, humility, simplicity, discipline, personal decency, joyfulness, forgiving spirit, prayerful, respectful, generosity, trustworthiness, and accountability were some of the words and phrases used to describe Chief Obiano's parents. And these were not simply words. Real stories were told to convey how they manifest in their daily interactions in business and in community and church leadership. Qualities they passed on to their children. Boys Scout taught the young Willie Obiano responsible citizenship, perseverance, character development, leadership, and self-reliance. His self-assuredness came from being rooted in his culture. It was said that Teacher Obiano's children were models of responsible childhood. During the Biafran-Nigerian War, Governor Obiano learned from his father that the civil crisis should not stop learning. It was not surprising that the lockdown during COVID-19 did not stop learning in Anambra. This was Governor Obiano's pedigree. It is therefore not surprising that he rose to the pinnacle of his banking profession, retired without any blemish, and was searched and recruited to be the governor of Anambra State even after retirement. These same sterling characteristics informed his style of governance, his drive in office, and his penchant for results. Those who encouraged and supported Governor Obiano to run for office knew of this pedigree, knew about his character, knowledge, and professional accomplishments. To their credit, the governor did not disappoint. In his successor, Governor Obiano has also demonstrated that he understands the value of pedigree, knowledge, vision, character, experience, competence, and continuity for result-oriented political leadership. One of the banes of our democracy, and this is why this is an important lesson, an uninformed political recruitment process. There is hardly any background check. These days, once you have made some money, you will want to be a governor. And more often than not, the ambition is without any agenda. You heard Choke say, they spend sleepless nights crafting an agenda. People want to be governor without an agenda. And our people will say, Ijebego, onye bu igu ka ewu na-eso. And I dare ask, does anyone care about the pedigree, character, experience, and knowledge of onye bu igu? Could the igu be your last supper? Reading this book exposes one to what it takes to be prepared to successfully lead a people. And not just any people, a talented, knowledgeable, and enterprising people of Anambra. So that is a huge lesson. The pedigree that someone brings to the job of governance. Onyebo, your classmate. Kedu school ijel? Who are your parents? If we are going to marry, and you US, monoye bibu governor, and say onyebu igu, kewu gesu. There are unique leadership lessons. Speaking about leadership, Ike Choke, through myriads of interviews conducted with close associates, colleagues, and appointees, weaves together a coherent story about Governor Obiano that reveals his humanity, kindness, and warmth. But he also astutely presents the book as the leadership text. On his humanity and kindness, Governor Obiano has no boundary. From his church in Bagada to his church in Aguleri, he tasked himself and his friends. From recognizing and donating to Old Rangers International Football Club players and pop stars of the 70s, gifts to amnestied prisoners, to pan-Igbo employment. There are Enugu people, there are other people in the employment of Anambra State. We saw an unbounded generosity. Interestingly, his wife, Ebele, was a co-traveler in this generosity binge. So if the wife was not supporting this, I don't think it would really have supported. So in this generosity, they were together. It is no wonder that one of his friends felt that unseen, unsung, and apostolic work of Obiano was what took him to the government house. I did not know that Akpopu Dike was a chieftaincy title he got before he became governor until I read the book. Indeed, the hero, which is what Akpopu Dike represents, was summoned several times by the church and community. And in all of those circumstances, he saved the day. More importantly, in writing about Governor Obiano, Ike presents a text that lists the great, somewhat unusual attributes of a leader. A happy fellow. Obiano is a jolly fellow. A great sense of humor. You have to have a sense of humor to be a great leader. Exacting standards. He demands a lot from those who work for him. He has enthusiasm and passion. Self-assuredness, really dresses to be happy and not to conform. Simplicity, at home with all classes of people. Ambitious goal setting, big picture guy that brutes no excuses, you just have to deliver. Ability to pick a winning team, generosity, dual concern for the people and the land. This is the philosophy of the government. A giant dreamer, willing to take gigantic risks, and now the audacity of history. The Biafran War Memorial, Ozemezina, it was really an audacity of history. High sense of optimism. So I was telling Choke, in your book, I think we're going to do another book, because what I've outlined as the characteristics of leadership is not in the normal text. We are now confronting a new menu of leadership qualities that we need to develop, simply because you wrote this book. In the rest of the book, Ike presents the achievement of Governor Obiano in key areas in a credible and balanced manner, using third-party impartial observers. Key functionaries and beneficiaries. In security, we are treated to the genesis of Operation Umkochap and its many achievements, the use of CCTV, the deployment of street lights, and complete surveillance of the state by sea, air, and land. At one time, Anambra was judged the safest state in Nigeria, and the actions of the governor debunked the helplessness most governors claimed. In agriculture, the focus was on key crops, where it was felt that the state had a comparative advantage with the right bias in favor of commercial farming. Tremendous results have been recorded with rice production, for instance, jumping from 70,000 metric tons in 2014 to about 345,000 metric tons in 2020, and about 500 metric tons in 2021. Similar meteoric rise in output has been recorded in cassava, spices, and some of which are now destined for export. Other impressive initiatives were in Efibo and poultry. The key point in all of this, according to Ike, is the creative partnership between the state and the private sector that was constructed to produce these impressive results. Second, the detailed identification of the problems, a follow-through in the implementation of agreed solutions, and the involvement of the beneficiaries were some of the unique attributes of the Obiano administration that the author noted. And the institutional support that agencies such as ANSEPA gave to this economic resurgence was also acknowledged. In keeping with Ana Alo Madu, recognition must be given to the remarkable achievements that were recorded in infrastructure, education, and health. The author takes the reader on a tour of the new infrastructure that open up riverine areas, farm and oil fields. Today, Anambra is